Hello! I thought I would do something a little bit different today. Now, I've taken one of these in the past, but I think I've changed, not drastically. I don't think I'm going to get an entirely different, like, out-of-the-ballpark personality. I'm sure it'll stay in the same family. I think I was INFP or something. INTJ. I think I was INTJ or INTP. I think it was one of those two. But we're going to be doing a personality test. That's going to take about... According to this, it says about less than 12 minutes, so buckle up. This is something you could take too. It's completely free. I'll link it below if you want to take it, and if you guys want to let me know like what your personality type is and whatnot. So I'm gonna try and be 100% honest, like completely honest with everything to the best of my ability to what I feel is correct for me. Yeah, let's start off first. Enjoy vibrant social events with lots of people. I kind of enjoy social events to an extent, not really with lots of people, so I'm gonna have to go a small disagree. It is fun sometimes. It's not something I do all the time, or it's not something I want to do all the time. You know, but it can be fun in small doses. I don't hate them. You often spend time exploring unrealistic yet intriguing ideas. This is something I think I do incredibly often. I will run scenarios in my head of like, either myself and things in the future or things not related to me or anything I know in my life, and you know, they're always interesting or else I wouldn't be thinking of it so heavily. So I do that. I daydream often, and I think this kind of relates to that. And your travel plans are more likely to look like a rough list of ideas and a detailed itinerary. I'd say yes. I would plan to an extent. There's things I'd want to do, but I am also very spontaneous. So it's like, I'm gonna use it as an example because I know landmarks off the top of my head. Like if I were to go to New York City, which is where I live, like, or not, where I grew up near. Like, I love going there and just fucking around. Like, again, small doses. I don't like being there very long. It goes back to the first one. But like, I'll be like, I want to go to the Empire State Building, and I want to go to the Statue of Liberty, and I want to do this, and I'll have like a plan, but I'll also be like, let's just fucking randomly go to Chinatown, or let's just randomly go here. So I'd say, yeah. You often think about what you should have said in a conversation long after it's taken place. Yes. I'd actually say small agree a lot. I said that way more confidently. I guess sometimes. If your friend is sad about something, your first instinct is to support them emotionally, not to try and solve their problem. I have a small issue with doing that sometimes, where when I get told what the problem is, a lot of the times I will like try and be like, what if you do this, or what if you, instead of just like sitting there and listening. And it's something I'm trying to work on, and I'm aware of it, but people can rarely upset you. I've gotten better with this, but I'd still give like a regular I would have put it a big disagree a while ago. I think that I've gotten better with it. I don't get as upset by people anymore. I'd actually put on a smaller one now that I'm thinking about it. It still happens a decent amount. You often rely on other people to be the ones to start a conversation to keep it going. Strong agree. Fuck. I say strong agree because I'm imagining myself in a situation with people I don't know very well, which absolutely would be a strong agree. But I just thought, like, I'm like, but people that I know, I'll give it here because I still find it much easier, even with people that I know, for them to continue and keep a conversation going. And sometimes I'm really bad at that. So that sounds good to me. And if you have to temporarily put your plans on hold, you make sure it is your top priority to get back on track as soon as possible. No, I am very bad at this too. You rarely worry if you made a good impression on someone you met. Small disagree. If I just met someone, I don't really care that much, but I do think back, like, did they like me? So it is there. It's just not strong. It would be a challenge for you to go back to what I said was going on before. I care more about what people that I know and are well established in my life, what they think about me. That's where I get more of an issue. People I just met, I don't care. I usually avoid conversation anyway. It would be a challenge for you to spend the whole weekend all by yourself without feeling bored. I do that all the fucking time. Okay, let me read the question to make sure I'm doing this right. It would be a challenge for you to spend the whole weekend all by yourself without feeling bored. I disagree. I mean, I get bored sometimes, but I have enough stuff to keep myself busy. Like making this, for example, is not a good example of unboring myself. More of a detail-oriented person than a big-picture person. Disagree. I very much look at the big picture for a lot of things. I look at the detail too, but I don't think this is... I'm gonna go with either. I'm gonna go with neither, actually, because I do both. See, this is why I'm also recording this and I'm like reading my thoughts out loud a lot, just so that way, like, I can say this and then you guys like understand my thought process. Because sometimes I pick an answer, but I think about it. And it's like, maybe that's not what I originally thought. Maybe that's my spur of the moment, but the further I look into myself and I think about my personality, it makes sense to be something else. But you are very affectionate with people you care about. I've always been bad at showing affection. It's not that it's not there, it's that I'm just not been great at it. It's not been like the easiest thing. And it's got me in some hot water sometimes with either family or like past girlfriends or past friends and whatnot. It's landed me in some hot water because it's like I'll put on like a colder demeanor. Something I'm also working on and I've gotten much better at in the past. Careful and methodical approach to nope. You are still bothered by the mistakes you made a long time ago. I am. They occasionally will come up and creep up on me to haunt me, and it would be like, why did I do this? Why did I do that? I could have fixed this situation by doing something else differently. Like, think about that situation. At parties and similar events, you can mostly be found further away from the action. Also agree. I'll delve in every now and then, but yeah. You often find it difficult to relate to people who let their emotions guide them. I would disagree on that too, because I understand where they're coming from, but it's not a strong disagree because there are some people that are so overly consumed by letting their emotions drive them that there's no logic at all. And there's at least some logic I need in there to relate to it. And when looking for a movie to watch, you can spend ages browsing the catalog. No, that's a very strong disagree for me. Whenever I do watch a movie, I have planned in advance. Like if I'm like, I want to watch Lord of the Rings, I'll be like, okay, we're gonna watch Lord of the Rings. And I have that set, and I have it like down, and it's like, this is what I'm watching, and I put it in. Stay calm under a lot of pressure. I'm thinking I can, but it's a small agree. I'll lose my shit sometimes. I'd say for the most part, under a lot of pressure, I can keep calm. At least give the demeanor of keeping calm, if I really wanted to. Sometimes I let it out because... So I guess the example that a lot of you guys will see is like from games and stuff, and there's like that's a different kind of pressure to me. Whereas like real life pressure to make like a good impression, or real life pressure to have like to be presentable and have like that, I could stay calm a lot easier if like that pressure's on me, rather than when I'm having like 80 people run at me with fucking like open firing. And I'm the last one left on my team, and it's like, oh shit, I gotta run. And I'm trying to shoot everyone's head at once, and it's just like a fucking absolute panic attack. I'm just fucking right across. When in a group of people you do not know, you have no problem jumping right into their conversation. That is a strong disagree. I've tried to do this, and I've always pretty much failed. When you sleep, your dreams tend to be bizarre and fantastical. When I do dream, there are a lot of nights where I wake up and I don't remember my dreams, but when I do, like last night was a good example. It's a lot of personal stuff. It wasn't anything bad. It was just like a lot of personal names and a lot of personal feelings towards like certain people and stuff like that. So I'm gonna keep it disclosed, but it was fucking bizarre. Like there were like laws of physics didn't apply. In your opinion, it is sometimes okay to step on others to get ahead in life. Disagree. Disagree 100%. That is not okay. You are dedicated and focused on your goals. Only rarely getting sidetracked. That's a disagree. That's a small disagree. The goals and things in life that I do care about, I could keep very on track with and dedicated and want to do it. The problem is that people don't think that of me because people assume that your goals are college. Your goals are school and like getting like a safe job that you're not going to really like, but you know, you're just going to get it. But that's not really my goals in life. That's just what the expected goals are. So the goals that I actually do have, like I actually am very focused on like making content for this. I've been very, very interested and dedicated in streaming. I was like very interested and dedicated to, where like that's like all I focus on. I'm like, how can I make this better? How can I improve all of this? And how can I do that? And that's like always been on my mind. So I've been dedicated. I get sidetracked though. That's for sure. If you make a mistake, you tend to start doubting. Actually, this should probably be a little A. If you make a mistake, you tend to start doubting yourself, your abilities, or your knowledge. That's an agree. I don't have to explain that one. That one's just, that's exactly what happens to me. When at a social event, you rarely try to introduce yourself to new people, and mostly talk to the ones you already know. Strong agree. if there's people there that I do already know. You usually lose interest in a discussion when it gets to a strong disagree. That's when the conversation gets interesting to me. You would never let yourself cry in front of others. That's an agree, and I've done it, and it's definitely been beneficial, and it's not really good that I try to do that when I'm feeling certain ways, but there's also a time and a place for it. And I'll tend to, if I ever do get into a mood where I actually feel like I have to let something out, very often it will be by myself, but I will occasionally open up to others on the occasions that I lose myself to the extent where I have to just bawl out. And you feel more drawn to places with a bustling, busy atmosphere. No, that's a disagree. It's one of those things that it's different places. There's certain times where I want that city atmosphere and that city experience, but it's not all the time. So it's definitely not all the time. And you like discussing different views and theories on what the world could look like in the future. I agree. I do like those conversations. I always find them very interesting. When it comes to making life-changing choices, you mostly listen to your heart rather than your head. I used to very much listen to my head, but as I've gotten older, I've been more drawn to listen to my heart and my feelings about certain things, more than I have with just going in my head and trying to logic everything out. Because I realize that doesn't always lead for the happiest result. Whereas, it might be safer and more logical, and getting a certain job where it's my heart's not in it. I hate the job, but in my head I'm it's a safe job, it's reliable, it pays alright, and I'm just not as happy in that situation, even though logic says that that's the right decision to make. When it comes to making life... Oh, I already picked that one. Sorry. Mostly listen to your heart rather than your head. I'd say a slight agree, because I still do listen to my head quite a bit. It was I would have put a strong disagree, maybe 5 years ago. And you cannot imagine yourself dedicating your life to the study of something that you cannot see, touch, or experience. I'm going to put an agree on that, because I think religion, and that's I can never dedicate myself to something like that. Whereas it's just you're dedicated to the belief of something. Whereas I don't see something science, where it's you could see, touch, and feel that, and you could dedicate your life. So you usually prefer to get revenge rather than forgive. That's a disagree. There's some people that have it coming, don't get me wrong. So I can't do a strong disagree on that, because I don't think every single person deserves full forgiveness. And I think karma's a bitch sometimes. But for the most part, revenge usually is not the way to go. You often make decisions on a whim. I don't have time to make decisions on a whim. There are a lot of that's usually with purchases for me, where if I see something really cool, I got a hat that just says fuck on it, and I wasn't planning to get it, but I'm yeah, screw it, I'll just get it. Because why not? The time you spend by yourself often ends up being more interesting and satisfying than the time you spend with other people. That one I'm going to put as a neutral, because it depends. There's times I like being with myself, and then there's times I like being with people. It's very much depending. I play games with friends all the time, and I really like that time I spend with people. And I can't really imagine time without that. But at the same time, I also need that space alone as well. I can't always be with people, because I'll just go crazy. You often put special effort into interpreting the real meaning or the message of a song or movie. I disagree. I don't really do that. You always know exactly what you want. Strong disagree. Very often I have no idea what I want. You rarely think back on the choices you made and wonder what you could have done differently. I'm going to put that here, actually, because I do know some things that I do want, but it's definitely not always. You rarely think back on the choices you made and wonder what you could have done differently. Disagree. I do that quite a bit. That was basically already a question, though. We already answered that, I'm pretty sure. When in a public place, you usually stick to quieter and less crowded areas. Unless it's a concert. Okay, so I'm going to hit agree, but in a situation where if I was going to go to a Slipknot concert, I'll be right in the front with all the crowded people, where it is much louder. Because it's a whole different environment. Whereas if I'm at a fancy party and there's a giant ballroom with a million fucking people in it, and there's a side room that you can go to and just hang out that has 3 people, I'll probably go to that side room. You tend to focus on present realities rather than future possibilities. That's a disagree. I'm not in the best situation right now in terms of the present, and I'm thinking very much more to the future when I think about what things I'm doing and what I'm doing. But you often have a hard time understanding other people's feelings. I disagree on that. I think for the most part, I do understand a lot if someone comes to me and says that they're feeling a certain way, or it's like, I'm feeling this, and like, this makes me sad, and it's like, I could get it, and I could relate. It's like, why does that make you sad? And it's like, that makes sense. I get it. I understand why it makes you upset. When starting work on a project, you prefer to make as many decisions up front as possible. I've never really thought about this. How about the slight disagree? Because usually, I'd say most of the time, a lot of my decisions are on a whim for like projects. Like, I'm thinking of it in terms of like making a YouTube video where it's like, the only main decision that I have is what game am I playing before I start. And then whatever I do in the game, I don't have a plan like, okay, I'm going to make sure I focus on this. I'm going to get this done. I'm going to get, these are my goals. When you know someone thinks highly of you, you also wonder how long it'll be until they become disappointed in you. I'm going to go with a slight disagree on that. I don't really think about that too often, but I can recall myself thinking about it before. And you feel comfortable just walking up to someone until you find interesting. I feel very uncomfortable doing that. You often drift away into daydreaming about various ideas or scenarios. That's an agree. And you look after yourself first, and others come in second. This is another issue I have. Very often I'm trying to help someone else out before myself. And this is another thing. A lot of these things are things that I know aren't great. And I know that I should be looking after myself first. That should be the number one priority. And I've gotten better at doing that and like pushing some people out of the way to make room for myself. But I'll still try to help out people when I can, even if it is inconvenient to me. So I'll have to go with disagree on that. Even when you have planned a particular daily routine, you usually just end up doing what you feel like. Agree. Yep. I am very bad at keeping to a schedule. The only thing I'm good at keeping to is a gym schedule, because they're only open at certain hours, and I like to get it done as soon as possible. That's not in the morning, so about 4 o'clock. But other than that, and like class, obviously, because if I miss that, I can't go back. But like recording, I wanted to record this stuff way earlier today, and I procrastinated the fuck out of it. Which is on me, but your mood can change very quickly. It can. Put the right catalyst in there, and my mood can go from 0 to 100, or vice versa. Very often more so from 100 to 0, usually from like an elated to like a very depressed. Usually it's hard going the other way. You often contemplate the reason for human existence or the meaning in life. I do this at least once a day. Not by choice. I don't sit down and I'm like, what's the meaning of life today? But I think about this all the time, like at least once a day. Like I could catch myself like thinking about like, what's the point of life if we don't get to do this? And like, you often talk about your own feelings and emotions. I've gotten better at this. I'm to the point where I'm actually going to agree. Whereas even a year ago, I would have put any of these disagrees. Like that was I've gotten a lot better. I found a lot easier to actually talk about these things now, especially as I've been meeting friends and talking to people that have had very similar issues, and it's become more of an open topic and an open conversation. We're able to learn from each other and their experiences, and it's really cool. You have got a detailed education or career development plan stretching several years into the future. Okay, so 5 years ago, yes, I would have had an education plan stretched out years into the future, but now that I'm coming to the end of that plan, I have nothing plan for the future. You rarely dwell on your regrets. Small agree on that one. Nope, never mind. Disagree entirely. I had to think about that, and I'm like, I actually do that quite a bit. Where I'm like, man, I wish I'd picked a different major, and then I'll dwell on that, and I'll think about what life could have been, or like, I'll think about like, what about this person? Like maybe if I did something different and I reacted different with this person, like we would still be friends, or maybe it's like, you know, I would have spending time in dynamic atmosphere with lots of people around quickly makes you feel drained and in need of a getaway. Absolutely. I've never had a situation where if there's like more than like 8 people, I've not gotten that feeling. See yourself more as a realist, less than a visionary? Small agree. I can see positively into the future and speculate like good things, but I think I see what's real a lot easier. You find it easy to empathize with a person who has gone through something you never have. That's a little hard, but I think I can kind of work it out. But I would never understand the full story if I've never experienced it myself. It's the same issue I've had where it's like, So, well, this is the first time I'm probably saying this on this channel, but like for me, like I've had like depression. I still have it, and I'm still dealing with it. And I've talked to people who have not had it, who have never been depressed, and they do not understand at all that sometimes you just can't get out of bed. Sometimes you just don't shower for like 2 or 3 days because you don't have anything to do there, and like you just don't have certain things. Like I have some dental issues from when I was really bad because I didn't take the time to take care of my teeth. And a lot of people sit there and it's like, it just takes 2 minutes. Like, why didn't you do it? And it's like, because that's not the way that depression works. So it is important to relate, because like I can understand why they can't relate to it. And I think that's the same reason why I think I will never be able to understand someone else in their situation if I've never been through it. So, and your personal work style is closer to spontaneous bursts of energy than organized and consistent effort. Yes, I get spontaneous bursts. And your emotions control you more than you control them. I'll put an agree on that. They do, but I can control them to an extent, especially lately. After a long, exhausting week, a fun party is what you need. LAN party? Maybe. I'll put an agree on that. I'll consider like video games and hanging out with friends to be a party. You frequently find yourself wondering how technological advancement can change your everyday life. Disagree. I don't think about how it could change too often. I know how it's affecting my life right now, but not changing it, because this is just what my life is. You always consider how your actions might affect other people before doing something. If it's someone else is involved, yes. If it's indirect and I didn't even know that they were involved, then obviously I can't. I don't know. But if it's someone else, then yes, I always think about like, how are they going to feel about this and how's it going to affect them? You still honor the commitments you have made, even if you have a change of heart. No. Rarely feel insecure? That's a disagree too. I'm bad at keeping some commitments. INFP, did that change? Okay, cool. So I got mediator, INFPT, and this trait determines how we interact with the environment. I am 79% introverted. I could have said that. I know that there's a little extrovert in there. It's not 100% for sure. Mental energy is intuitive. Yeah, I could see that. I definitely use my big brain a lot. Nature, more feeling and thinking, but that's closer to 50-50. And not as much as this, though. Tactics. I'm more prospecting than I am judging, which I agree. And I'm more turbulent? So let's see what I got. Mediator personalities are true idealists, always looking for the hint of good, even in the worst of people and events, searching for ways to make things better. While they may be perceived as calm, reserved, or even shy, mediators have an inner flame and passion that can truly shine. Comprising just 4% of the population, the risk of feeling misunderstood is unfortunately high for the mediator personality type. But when they find like-minded people to spend their time with, the harmony they feel will be a fountain of joy and inspiration. So I did actually get the mediator class the last time I took this, like a year ago, which was really cool. Like I knew it's really cool that the results weren't like so out of the water different, that there's an actual formula to this. Being part of the diplomat role group, mediators are guided by their principles rather than by logic. Analysts, excitement, explorers, or practicality, sentinels. So when deciding how to move forward, they will look to honor, beauty, morality, and virtue. Mediators are led by the purity of their intent, not rewards and punishment. People who share the mediator personality type are proud of this quality, and rightly so. But not everyone understands the drive behind these feelings, and it can lead to isolation. We know what we are, but we do not know what we may be. At their best, these qualities enable mediators to communicate deeply with others, easily speaking in metaphors and parables, and understanding and creating symbols to share their ideas. Fantasy worlds, in particular, fascinate mediators. That they do. More than any other personality type, the strength of their visionary communication style lends itself to creative works, and it comes as no surprise that many famous mediators are poets, writers, and actors. Understanding themselves and their place in the world is important to mediators, and they explore these ideas by projecting themselves into their work. Mediators' ability with language doesn't stop with their native tongue either. As with most people who share the diplomat personality types, they are considered gifted when it comes to learning a second or a third language. Their gift for communication also lends itself well to mediators' desire for harmony, a recurring theme with diplomats, and helps them to move forward as they find their calling. Listen to many but talk to few. Unlike their extroverted cousins, though, mediators will focus their attention on just a few people, a single worthy cause. Spread too thinly, they'll run out of energy, and even become dejected and overwhelmed by all the bad in the world that they can't fix. This is a sad sight for a mediator's friend who will come to depend on their rosy outlook. If they are not careful, mediators can lose themselves in their quest for good and neglect the day-to-day upkeep that life demands. Mediators often drift into deep thought, enjoying contemplating the hypothetical and the philosophical more than any other personality type. Left unchecked, mediators may start to lose touch, withdrawing into hermit mode, and it can take a great deal of energy from their friends or partner to bring them back into the real world. Luckily, like the flowers in spring, mediators' affection, creativity, altruism, and idealism will always come back, rewarding them and those they love, perhaps not with logic and utility, but with a worldview that inspires compassion, kindness, and beauty wherever they go. Cool. Hey! I know Bjork. Hey, Alicia Keys. Tom Hiddleston. Nice. I am Loki. Julia Roberts. William Wadsworth. Wait, what? Okay. I don't know who he is. Johnny Depp. I'm basically Johnny Depp. Frodo. That's probably the best one yet. Alright, strengths. Idealist, harmony and value, open-minded, flexible, very creative, passionate and energetic, dedicated and hardworking. Weaknesses, too idealistic, too altruistic, impractical, dislike dealing with data, take things personally, difficult to get to know. Oh, hell yeah. Love all, trust a few, do wrong to none. That sounds accurate. Alright, so I'm not going to go too far into this, but if you guys liked it, I will link it down below. You guys can take this yourself, and you can figure out what kind of personality you are. So I got an INFP. That might have been what I got before. I actually am not entirely sure. I know it's in the ballpark. It's an IN. It's an IN. It might be an FP. I am not entirely sure. But let me know what you guys are as well, if you do plan to take this, and if you want, I'm sure you could read through all the personality types if you want to continue reading this, either about mine or yours or whoever's. And you can learn maybe more about yourself than you maybe thought you knew, as long as you keep honest with the questions. Thank you. I'll see you guys later. Like it if you liked it, and comment like whatever the hell you got as well if you took this as well. I want to know. But I'll see you guys later. Have a good one, and bye.